I'm here.
Heard that.
You didn't know that, you do now. There we go. That's fine. So, I'm glad Tony mentioned about Brother Jody and Carol being here for the years that they have, because it kind of goes along with when I seen him last night. For those of you that don't know, he's been all over the world, it seems like, this week. He's been in Minnesota, and he's been out here, and he's been in McKinney, and, you know, he's walked out so we can talk bad about him, I guess. But, you know, we forget sometimes how much he really does for us and does for our church, and what all that him and his family have going on right now. They've got 4 little ones that require lots of time and effort, and he's gone a lot. And you know, he made a quick trip to Minnesota, and he got back late Friday night. When I seen him yesterday at the wedding, I started saying funeral. Boy, that was bad. I said, "You look tired," and he said, "I am tired." And I said, "You need me to preach?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Well, I think you probably do." And it's not that he couldn't, because he can, and he's much, much better than I am. But I thought, let's give him a break. And instead of him having to suffer, you guys got to suffer by listening to me. So I'm sorry, that's just what it is. So we'll be in Judges this morning for a little bit. Judges 13 is where we'll start. And, you know, it's something I've been thinking about for a while. I've been studying, and everyone knows the story of Samson. Everyone knows the story of Samson and Delilah. We know how all that happened, how all that turned out, what happened. But I wanted to talk this morning for just a little bit about why was Samson sin? What was his main purpose in his life to be? Did you realize what he was really sent to do, sent to be? You know, he was God's chosen to defend Israel. Did you know that? He was big, strong. He was super. He was, you know, guy that if he walked in right now, everybody turn and look and think, "Boy, that's, you know, this guy's," it's kind of like the saying that all the women want him and all the guys want to be like him. That's what Samson was. Big, strong, powerful. You know, he killed a whole army of Pharisees with the jawbone of a donkey. You know, he killed a lion with his bare hands. He caught 300 foxes and lit their tails on fires and destroyed all the crops. He was a bad man. I mean, this guy was big, strong, powerful. He was born in Nazareth, which meant he had to be pure. Had to let his hair go. Couldn't cut his hair. He couldn't drink alcohol. He was pure. God sent him to be a warrior for him. But what happened to Samson? He got proud. He got greedy. He got selfish. He thought he would do things his own way. He would go the path that he wanted to go and do the things that he wanted to do. And then he run into Delilah, right? What happened there? Well, she coaxed him into finding out his secret. She cut his hair off. We know the story. They blinded him. He lost all his strength. Lost everything he had, right? You ever think about what God has intended for you? For me? You ever think that God has given you the powers that he gives Samson? Maybe not to kill a lion with your bare hands. I don't suggest going and trying to find out if that's the power you have. But have you ever thought of what God has sent you to do here on this earth? And what he wants us to do. What he wants us to be. You know, we look around at all the things that we do, and we look at Judgment House, and, you know, the last 2 years I've been at Invitation. And towards the end of last year, I just felt like I didn't belong down there. And maybe it was because You know, we wasn't having many decisions made, or I don't know what was going on. But I thought, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this no more. This is not what I want to do. And I got to thinking, you know why? Because I never prayed and asked God to put me in a place in Judgment House. I just said, oh, I'll do the invitation. I can do that. But I never asked God what He wanted me to do. And I told Jody, I told Melinda, right when Judgment House is over, I said, I don't want to do invitation next year. And how do you know it? I'm like, because I've been praying about it. Those of you who've been through Judgment House, well, I'm a mean old daddy.
Amen.
Man, I've had so many people come up to me and say, well, that's a side of you we didn't know you had. Well, that's good. I'm glad you've never seen that side of me. Madison claims she has. But God, I asked God what to do, and He said, you need to do something else besides invitation, and that's what I did. And as I got to thinking about this role, you know, I get to thinking about how people really act, and the unfortunate part about what we're seeing down there in the judgment, I said, if you haven't been through, I encourage you to come and go through it. Not to see me get mad and scream and sling Gabe around, but to see what's going on in their lives. It starts out, we're the first scene, and I'm a dad who is so selfish that I don't have time for my kids' needs. I'm not worried about what problems he's got going on. I'm worried about the school has called me down there, and that his mom is supposed to be there and she's not, and that I'm missing work, and that I'm tired of him acting silly. And I sling him against the wall, and I act like I'm going to hit him, and I'm not listening to the words that he's saying. When he's talking about he can blow himself up, all I'm being as in that scene is a selfish person who is only worried about me and me alone. And you know what's unfortunate? We do that in everyday life. It may not be with our kids, but it's with other things. I had a conversation with a guy this week, and we was talking about different things, and he said, you know, I've got a lot of people that I may not go out and eat with them every night, but I know that I can't go out and eat with them anytime. That we're friends. And folks, as Christians, that's what we're supposed to do. We're not going to always agree with everything going on. We're not going to always agree with what we've got going, or the person sitting next to your neighbor. But as Christians, we've got to come together and work to make our world a better place. Just think about Samson. If he'd have done what God put him here to do, the abilities he had, the strengths he had, what could he have done for Israel? But what he did for himself. And that's so many times, that's what happens to us. We worry about what's going on in our life, and we don't worry about what our neighbor's doing, what they're going through. I talked to Scott Danny Roy's son-in-law on the phone, I guess Tuesday night. In about 2 weeks, we prayed right here over Scott one Sunday morning, the week before Josh's surgery. You know what Josh told me? He said, I felt that. Folks, he's 5-6 hours away. He said, I felt that. When Scott told me what happened that morning, he said, I felt that. There was 80, 90, 100 of us that morning. Just think about what 100 people did. And he felt it. Just think about if every Christian come together and pray for our country and pray for all the mess that we've let our world get into, how much better we would be. Just think about how strong Samson, I mean, you heard Samson in the Delilah since you was little bitty. That's a story you heard in the Bible. There's 4 or 5 stories that stick with you in the Bible. And that's one of them. Everyone's heard of it. Just think about how much different it could have been if Samson would have done what God laid out for him to do. If he could just listen to God. But we're like Samson. We want to do things on our own. We want to do things that's easy for us. I'll be honest with you. Doing that acting, having, kids close to the age that Derek is, it's unnerving for me. I'm not going to lie about it. When Gabe told me, he said, hey, when we walk out this door, grab me, just lean against the wall. I'm like, you sure? He said, yeah. Then we get over in the corner, and he said, when you act like you're hitting me, I'm going to slap the wall. Are you sure? And man, he does a good job because there's panic in his eyes, and there's sometimes I'm thinking, I hope he doesn't really think I'm really going to hit him. Then Wednesday night, I walked out. When I walk in, I slam the door, and I go right across, and I'm in the security room, and Nita's in there. She said, "Did you hit him?" She said, "Y'all were loud." But that's unnerving because I think about how that's real life. That stuff really happens. All the things that you go through, it happens. All the way down to the judgment scene, all the way down to heaven, all the way to the invitation. Folks, those things are true. It's an act, and this is a play, and yes, it's a lot of work. Yes, we have fun doing it, but I hope that each and every one of you that are doing this are doing it because this is what God told you to do. And I'll be honest with you, those who haven't been able to participate, we understand, but we hope that you're praying for us. Come and support us. Some of you can't make it, understand? Hey, that's fine. Pray. We've seen what prayer did. For those of you who don't know, Josh's cancer, they got it all. It was stage 1, the lowest you can get. Best case scenario. I talked to him Tuesday, a week after his surgery. He was mowing the yard. He was tired, but he mowed the yard. Folks, that's a few Christians praying for one person. Just think if every church this morning prayed for our country. What could be different? Man, our country's in a mess. Why is it that we fight amongst one another? Why is it that you got one side here and one side there and they're all fighting against? Last time I checked, we lived in the United States to where we have one leader. Whether you like him or not, he's our leader. It's not a split country. You know, the Dallas Cowboys don't have, well, they do have 2 teams, 1 week to the next. I shouldn't use them. It's not a very good example. But pro teams don't have 2 teams. They're all one. They've got one coach. They all got to work together. Whether we like one another or not as Christians, whether we like one another or not, whether you like the person sitting right next to you in the pew this morning, you're their brother or their sister, and you've got to get along. And you've got to work as one. You've got to make things better for this, not only this church, but this community, this county, this state, this world. And I look back at all the power that Samson had and all the great things that he could have done, and he wasted it because he knew he was bigger and better than everyone else and could do what he wanted to do. He picked a bad old gal to hang around with too, didn't he? That's why it's important as our young people. When I talk to youth, I always told them, you pick someone as your spouse that is like you, that is a Christian. Because you're stuck with them. Poor Linda. But we've got to choose good things. Samson chose everything bad. Everything that sucker did was bad. He didn't do anything good to win. To the end. What happened? Judges 13:24 is where it starts. It says, and a woman bare a son and called him his name Samson, and the child grew and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move in him at times in the camp of Dan and Zorah and Eshtal. And then all the way through there, down to verse 28, what does it talk about? It talks about all his strengths, all the things that he does, all these crazy things. He eats honey from the carcass of a lion. Nothing he did made any sense. And he had so much power, he had so much potential. He had so many things that God wanted him to do, and he didn't do none of it. Is that you? Is that me? Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I know there's times when I fail God. I know there is. I know there's times when I don't do what God wants me to do, or I'm doing things that God isn't proud of. I know there's times that I don't do things that God's asked me to do. I know there's times that I do things that God doesn't want me to do. Yeah, well, you know, he didn't make you big and strong and all that. How do I know? How do I know that I don't have some kind of power that God has bestowed upon me and I'm just not using it? How do you know that? You ever prayed and asked God? God, show me what I'm supposed to do. I haven't. Oh, I made that day. God, show me what you want me to do today. We got a judgment house tonight. Help me to do good. And make it look like I'm really mean and I'm smacking Gabriel. Am I really sincere though when I do that? When's the last time we stopped, we got on our knees and we just said, God, I want you to clear out everything out of my life that you don't want here, and I want you to show me what you want me to do. I want you to show me the path that you've laid out for me, and I want you to slap me in the back of the head when I get off that path. When's the last time we've done that? Folks, it's been a long time for me. I'm not going to lie to you. You know why? I'm tired. Boy, I've had a bad day. Whew. I'm just exhausted. I'm just going to go home. I just want to eat supper and I just want to lay down. Oh, that's my TV show. It's on. Yeah, Monday Night Football. Let's watch it. Oh, yeah. Street Outlaws. It's on. Yeah. And then I forget about what I'm supposed to be doing, and I forget about all the things that God's asked me to do because I'm back to being self-ashamed. Boy, y'all don't use that. That can work out bad right there. Golly. But I go back to being my selfish ways, my selfish self. All of us is tired. Hey, we're going to get about 3 hours of rest after church this morning, unless I go long. Let's see what time is it. No, you're okay. We're going to get about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and then we've got to be back down. Wait a minute, let me phrase that. We get to be back down here to do Judgment House. See, there's that selfishness coming out. We've got to be. No, we get to be. If you're a part of Judgment House, you're blessed. You're getting to be a part of something great. The first night was a practice night, and we had a little boy get saved. On a practice night. Wasn't nobody supposed to get saved? We had them here to tell us what we was doing wrong. And the boy got saved. If we don't do nothing else this month, we got one person saved.
Amen.
You realize that? On a night where 3 or 4 things went wrong and Terrence and Jody's blowing up the world out there, the neighbors are calling and said that the dogs is barking and rattling the windows and time is off, and see, it doesn't matter what we do wrong as long as what we're doing right is what God wants us to do. If what we're doing is what God wants us to do, He knows we're going to fail. What do you think He sent His Son to the cross for? He knew we was going to fail, but if we listen to God and we do everything He tells us, He's going to help us. A little boy got saved last Sunday night, folks, at a dress rehearsal. Josh Ory's cancer come back almost negative because a group of people come down here and prayed over his father-in-law. Folks, our God is a mighty God.
Amen.
That shows you the power that our God has when we let Him work. When we let Him work inside of us and we let Him do everything that He wants us to do. Man, think about how great Samson could have been. A protector of the Israelites. Think about that. How different would things have turned out if old Samson would have done what God asked him to do? You ever think about that? That's deep. I understand. That's a deep thing to think about. But you ever think about it? Yeah. I'm the same way. When I was reading this, I'm like, it wouldn't be probably near a cooler story. Because what happened to Samson at the end? He lost his eyes. Well, what happened? His hair started growing back. Well, what happens when his hair grows back? He gets his strength again, right? What did he do at the end? What was his final act? What was his final act? Yeah. What did he do? He stood there and said, I'll hold this up. God, give me the strength to do it. You realize when those pillars fell that he killed more people than he had ever done while he was doing his own? Why? Because he asked God for help. He was blind. But he let his hair go back and his strength come back. That's why we've got to listen to what God tells us to do. We've got to listen to what God has got planned for us. Is it hard? Yes. Is there times it's going to be harder? Yes. I mentioned Jody and Caroline. Jody, they weren't in here when I said it. They've got 4 little ones at home. And I think Jody took this new promotion on purpose, so he didn't have to be home all the time. He's my buddy, but I can't defend him on that deal. He left Carol with 4 little ones. So I wonder if she even speaks to him. Now, she's probably glad to see. I mean, well, that's probably it. He knows when he gets home, she's glad to see him. Soon she get in the van and leave. But do you realize what they're doing? They're doing what God has told them to do. Do you realize that? They give Ian and Abby something that they didn't have. They give them a home. And in turn, we give them too, right? When you listen to God, you get blessings bestowed on not only you, but those that are around you who loves you and follows you. What happened to all the people that was with Samson? They killed one of his ex-wives, killed her parents, because of his selfishness. Just think about all the good that can happen to people around us if we just do good, if we just do what God tells us to do. I'll say it again. A little boy got saved last Sunday night. Does it get any better than that, folks? Why? Because we're doing here at this church what God has told us to do. Is it a lot of work? Heck yeah, it's a lot of work. And folks, Jody, I said I wasn't going to make him sound better, but he's down here during the days when he's not working on his judgment house. Y'all know that? The other night, he calls me at 6 o'clock. He says, hey, we've got to go see Dynamic Broom. He's dying. He's not going to make it through the night. I said, okay, come get me. He said, well, it'll be 10 o'clock before I get to Paris. That's PM. I said, okay, I'll go with you. I'll give out. I ain't going to lie to you. This sucker's been up in Chickamauga, Oklahoma or somewhere all day long. And he picks me up. And I know that I know that I can't drive the company truck, but I'm like, I'll keep him waiting. Folks, he did what God told him to do, and it was like he just woke up. As tired as he was, he never showed it to that family over there that night. And those of you who didn't hear the story, he asked Donnie's wife. Donnie's sitting there, he's unconscious. They got him on a machine helping him breathe. He's breathing on his own, but it's helping him. And he says, can I talk to him? And yes. And Jody starts talking to him, and he says, Donnie, he said, this is Jody. He said, me and Shane have come to see you. And he quits breathing. For about 5 or 6, long enough for Jody to turn and look at me. Then he starts breathing again. You know, the man had asked that Jody be there when he got sick. And I'm telling you, that was God's way of telling me and Jody that he knew Jody was there. Folks, if you let God work in your life and you use God's power, he's going to bless you with good things. And as sad as that was over there, seeing Donnie in the shape that he was that night, it was good for me and Jody to know that he knew we was there because he was relaxed then. Because him and Jody meant a lot to one another. But that's what we're supposed to do, folks. He'd been gone since 6 or 7 that morning. And we leave Paris, Texas at 10 o'clock to go to Greenville. You know why? Because God told him to. And he protected us and he guided us and he let us have a safe trip. And he give that family closure and he give that family peace because God told him to do it. And he said, hey, you don't want to go, you don't have to go. I just want you to know I'm going anyway. I'm like, I can't let him go by myself. And I'm glad I went. because I know that he knew we was there. He knew that God was there. Donnie knew God was in that room that night because Jody prayed with the family. He knew it. Folks, we get so many things taken for granted, just like Samson. We get so many things that we just think, well, I'm going to do this, and then it'll be okay. I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to church, and because that's what I'm supposed to do, and that's what I've always done. Folks, we don't know who's going to walk through these doors on Sunday and need you to be their Christian friend. We don't know who's going to come through this. I've told it before. I had a lady stop me after the invitation last year. She said, hey, I just want y'all to know we come through the year before. I said, well, that's awesome. Thanks for coming back. And she said, well, you don't understand. I said, okay. She said, we had a van full of young girls, 13, 14 years old. I can't remember where they were from, but it was down south. I mean, a couple hours away from here. It may be the mod group. I don't know. She said we had to stop on the way home. We had 5 or 6 girls get saved on the side of the road at 8:30, 10 o'clock at night. You know why? Because they come through Judgment House. It wasn't nothing I done. It was everyone in that Judgment House had done. Folks, we don't know what's going to happen when they leave here on Wednesday nights and Sundays nights. But we've got to do the best we can, the best thing that God has laid upon us to do all the time. Not just at church, not just on Wednesday nights, not just during Judgment House, not just during our 4th of July or Christmas special or anything like that. But every day when we walk and we get up and we walk out of our house, we need to be a light for someone. Because you don't know what that person's experiencing. You don't know what that person's going through. You don't know what that person needs. And he goes back to think about what could Samson have done if he had just done what God asked him to do. But he chose to go another route. He chose to do what he wanted to do. What should we do? We should do what God tells us to do. How do we do that? We ask him. We pray. We take time out for God. We're all busy. I get it. I understand it. We're all busy. Judy had to leave. She told me this morning, she said, it's bad when on Sunday you've got your whole week lined out. Sometimes that's the devil not wanting you to make time for God. He throws things at us so we don't take time for God. Folks, we've got to stop and we've got to listen to what God's telling us to do. We've got to make time for God because the devil won't make time for you. You hear me? We've got to make time for God because the devil's going to make time for you. Crazy things happen every year at the Judgment House. Music won't work. Chairs moving. Now look at me crazy, ask my wife. She's seen it. Jody swears someone chased him down the hall last year. Sounds better. Things fall, roof leaks. It's just the devil wants us to not do it. It's just the devil telling us, groups are late, they're not here on time. We get frustrated. Don't do that. If we got to stay down here all night, if we get someone saved, then that's God's plans. That's what God wants us to do. 1 Peter, you don't have to go there unless you just want to. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 13, it says, wherefore, gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is brought unto you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. As obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust of your ignorance, but as he who hath called you is holy. So be ye holy in all manner of conversation, because it is written, be ye holy, for I am holy. And if you call on the Father, who without respect of persons judgeth according to every man's work, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear. For as much as you know you were not redeemed with corruptible things as silver and gold from your vain conversation received by tradition from your fathers. But with the precious blood of Christ as a lamb without blemish, without spot, who verily was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in the last times for you, who by him believe in God, that raised him up from the dead and gave him glory, that your faith and hope might be in God. Folks, Samson didn't do anything God asked him to do. Nothing. He turned away from God and took his strengths that God had given him. But when things got bad, where did he go? What did he do? He turned to God. God help me. God will do the same thing for you. We've all done things that we're not proud of. We've all done things that God's not asked us to do. We've done things that God doesn't want us to do. Period. God knew it. That's why He sent His Son. If you've got something going on in your life, turn to God. If you don't think you've got something going on in your life, turn to God, because you do. There's always some turmoil in us all the time. Give it to God and see what He'll do for you. If you're not in Judgment House, go home and pray. He may tell you to come to Judgment House. He's going to tell you to do something. He may tell you to pray right there where you're at. But God's going to tell you what to do. We've got to quit being selfish. We're all that way. I'm preaching to Shane Oats too. We've got to quit being selfish. We've got to quit worrying about what others think. We've got to quit worrying about what we think of others. Take the conceitedness out of your life and give it to God. Because all that is the devil, and he's pushing people away from you that might want to be your friend when you act that way. Think of the friend Samson could have had. Everybody wants to hang around a big strong football star, right? Think of what Samson could have had, and he chose to go another route. And look what happened. In the end, he prevailed, but what did he have to go through to get there? Death. He lost his eyes. Folks, we got to listen to God and what God wants us to do. I promise you, each and every one of you sitting here this morning, God's got a plan for you. Each and every one of you sitting here this morning, God's telling you to do something. It's up to you to do it. It's up to you to act on it. Period. It may not be nothing more than prayer. But pray. And pray for yourself. Pray for God to guide you. Pray for God to show you the way. Pray for God to make things better for you. But ask God to do it. You can't do it on your own. I promise you, you cannot do it on your own. Samson put it off for a while, but in the end, we all know what happened. It didn't work. And it won't work for you either. This morning, as our musicians come, what's God telling you to do? If you're not a Christian, I ask that you come down this morning and give yourself to God. Jody will be here, Ken will be here, I'll be here. If you're looking for a church home, you don't have a church home, and you're looking for a church home, what's God telling you to do this morning? Is He leading you down here to join our family? I hope so. I hope that's what He's doing this morning. If you just need to come down and pray, these altars are open. You come down and pray. If you need to pray with one of us, you come pray with one of us. But what's God telling you this morning? Listen to Him. He's telling you something. I promise you. He's telling each and every one of us something. I promise you. Do what God tells you to do. Don't walk out of here this morning and thinking, well, maybe next week. You know, Brother Jody, he'll preach next week. I'll do it next week. Brother Jody's going to be standing right here in the middle like he always is on Sunday morning. Don't walk out of here today with something on your heart, with a burden on you, or with something God's telling you to do. Leave it right here and let's take care of it. What's God asking you this morning to do? Let us pray. Lord, as we come to you this morning, we're just so thankful.